Number 7. Dumbbell Bench Press. If there's one exercise that should never be missing from your chest workout, it's the dumbbell bench press. I know many people love the barbell bench press, and it has its value, but if you want a movement that truly improves range of motion, muscle activation, and also protects your shoulders, dumbbells are an even better choice. Many people neglect this exercise because they think they need to lift tons of weight to see results, but the truth is that execution quality is what makes the difference. The biggest advantage of the dumbbell bench press is that it allows for a more natural movement since you're not restricted by a fixed bar. This means you can lower the weights a bit more than in the traditional barbell bench press, better activating the chest muscle fibers and reducing the risk of shoulder injuries. Now, how do you perform this exercise correctly? First, sit on a flat bench holding a dumbbell in each hand. Rest the weights on your knees, and with a small push from your legs, bring the dumbbells into the starting position, aligned with your chest. Your feet should be firmly planted on the floor, and your body should be stable. Now comes the most important part, the descent. Unlike what many people do, you shouldn't just drop the weights carelessly. The movement needs to be controlled and fluid. Lower the dumbbells until they are in line with your chest or slightly below, feeling the muscle stretch. Avoid letting your elbows flare out too much, as this can place unnecessary strain on your shoulders. On the way up, push the dumbbells upward, but without fully locking your elbows at the top of the movement. The key here is to maintain muscle tension at all times, avoiding unnecessary rest at the end of the repetition. One thing that makes a big difference is how you grip the dumbbells. If you want to activate your chest even more, slightly tilt the dumbbells inward on the way up, as if you were squeezing an invisible arc. This increases muscle contraction and makes you feel the work even more. Now, let's talk about the most common mistakes. The first mistake is using weights that are too heavy before mastering the technique. If you can barely control the dumbbells on the way down or need to swing your body to lift them, something is wrong. Remember, the goal here is to stimulate the muscle, not impress others at the gym. Another mistake is letting your elbows go too far back, almost in line with your shoulders. This can put stress on the joint and increase the risk of injury. Instead, keep a slightly closed angle, around 45 degrees. And finally, many people rush through this exercise without controlling the descent. The eccentric phase, the downward movement, is where much of the muscle growth stimulus happens, so slowing this down can be a game changer for your gains. Now, why is the dumbbell bench press so effective? First, because it allows for greater chest activation since you can lower the weights more than with a barbell. Second, because it strengthens shoulder stability as each arm has to work independently without the support of a fixed bar. And third, because it is safer for most people, especially those with a history of shoulder pain or difficulty with the traditional barbell bench press. If you're not doing dumbbell bench presses yet, you should start right now. And if you already do, try applying these tips to make the exercise even more effective. Now that we've covered the best chest exercise, in the next chapter, we're moving straight to the hammer curl, simply the key to truly big arms. If you think a standard bicep curl is enough to build impressive biceps, you're mistaken. I'll show you why the hammer curl is so essential and how to perform it in the best way. Number 6. Hammer curl. If you want truly impressive arms, the kind that look strong even when relaxed, you need to include the hammer curl in your workout. Many people focus only on the traditional bicep curl, believing it's the only exercise necessary to develop the biceps. The problem with this approach is that the biceps brachii, the part of the biceps that a standard curl targets, isn't the only muscle responsible for arm size. There's another often overlooked muscle that makes a huge difference in arm thickness, the brachialis. The brachialis sits underneath the biceps, and when well developed, it makes your arms look thicker and denser, giving them that raw power appearance. And the best exercise to target this muscle is the hammer curl. Now, how do you perform this exercise correctly? First, hold a dumbbell in each hand with your palms facing inward. Neutral grip. Your elbows should stay close to your body throughout the movement without moving forward. This is essential to prevent other muscles, like the shoulders, from taking over. From this position, lift the dumbbells up to shoulder height, squeezing the muscle at the top. But here's the important detail. Don't swing your body to gain momentum. The movement should be slow and controlled, without cheating the execution. The lowering phase is also crucial. Lower the dumbbells slowly, feeling the muscle work. Many people make the mistake of letting the weights drop too quickly, losing a significant part of the exercise's stimulus. Another common mistake is using dumbbells that are too heavy right from the start. The hammer curl should be performed with a weight you can control without sacrificing form. A trick to boost your results is to hold the dumbbells for a second at the top of the movement, maximizing muscle contraction before beginning the descent. And why is this exercise so effective? Because in addition to activating the brachialis, it also engages the brachioradialis, a forearm muscle that helps with grip strength. This means that besides building thicker arms, you'll also improve your hand and forearm strength, which can benefit other exercises like deadlifts and pull-ups. If you're not including hammer curls in your workout yet, start right now. If you already do, try applying these tips to make the exercise even more effective. Now that we've covered the best exercise for bigger, thicker arms, in the next chapter, we'll dive into the Romanian deadlift, which is simply the best movement for developing the glutes, hamstrings, and strengthening the lower back. Many people neglect this exercise and end up struggling with squats or even experiencing lower back pain. I'll show you how to perform this exercise correctly and why it should be a part of your routine. Number 5, Romanian deadlift. If there's one exercise that can completely transform the strength and development of your lower body, it's the Romanian deadlift. Unlike the traditional deadlift, which works a wider variety of muscles, the Romanian deadlift has a more specific focus. Glutes, hamstrings, the back of the thigh, and lower back. And if you want well-developed and strong legs, you need to start taking this movement seriously. Now, many people confuse the conventional deadlift with the Romanian deadlift. So first, let's clarify the difference. In the traditional deadlift, you start with the bar on the floor and lift the weight from zero, which requires significant engagement of the quadriceps and upper body. In the Romanian deadlift, however, the focus is on the hip hinge movement rather than lifting the weight from the ground. This means that the work falls much more on the glutes and hamstrings, making this exercise one of the best choices for strengthening this area. So how do you perform this exercise correctly? First, grab a pair of dumbbells or a barbell and stand with your feet hip width apart. Hold the weights with your arms extended in front of your body, palms facing your thighs. Here's the crucial part. Instead of simply lowering the weights as if you were squatting, you need to push your hips back while keeping your back straight and your core engaged. The key to the movement is stretching the hamstrings. You should lower yourself until you feel a good stretch in the back of your thighs without letting the bar or dumbbells touch the ground. In most cases, this depth is just below the knees, but it may vary depending on your mobility. Then return to the starting position by driving your hips forward and squeezing your glutes at the top. Now, pay attention because there are some common mistakes people make in this exercise that can hinder your progress or even cause injuries. The first mistake is rounding your back on the way down. This puts unnecessary pressure on the lower back and can lead to pain and discomfort. The second mistake is bending the knees too much, turning the exercise into a half squat. The Romanian deadlift is not a traditional leg exercise. It's a hip hinge movement, so the knee should be slightly bent but without excessive movement. Another common mistake is using a weight that's too light and doing too many reps, treating the exercise as a warm-up. The Romanian deadlift needs to be performed with a significant load within a range of 6 to 12 repetitions to properly stimulate muscle growth and strength. Now, why is this exercise so effective? Because it works 3 essential areas for both strength and aesthetics. The hamstrings, which add volume to the back of the leg, the glutes, one of the most important muscles for power and posture, and the lower back, which stabilizes the body and improves performance in other exercises like squats and conventional deadlifts. If you're not doing Romanian deadlifts yet, you should start right away. And if you already do, try applying these tips to make the movement even more effective. Now that we've talked about one of the most important exercises for legs and the lower back, in the next chapter, we'll dive into dips, one of the best exercises for the chest and triceps. If you think the bench press is the only solution for chest development, you're mistaken. I'll show you why dips are a real game changer for upper body growth. Number 4, dips. If I told you there was an exercise capable of building your chest, triceps, and shoulders in a brutal way without needing machines or complicated weights, would you believe me? Well, this exercise exists, and it's called dips. Many people ignore this movement because they think they only need bench presses and curls to build a strong upper body. But the truth is that dips are one of the best compound exercises for developing the upper body. If you look at the workouts of the strongest guys from the golden era of bodybuilding, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you'll see that dips dips were always there. And there's a reason. This exercise activates the chest in a unique way, while massively stimulating the triceps and the anterior deltoid, shoulder. If you want a truly effective workout, you can't leave this exercise out. Now, how do you perform dips correctly? The first step is to find parallel bars at your gym or use specific supports for this exercise. Grab the bars and hold your weight with your arms fully extended. Your body should be upright or slightly leaning forward depending on your goal. Here's the crucial difference. If you lean your body forward, you'll recruit more of your chest. If you keep your torso more upright, your triceps will be more engaged. Choose the angle based on what you want to focus on, but in general, a slight forward lean is the best option for a balanced workout. Now comes the most important part, the descent. You should bend your elbows and lower your body slowly, without just dropping your weight. The key to making this exercise effective is control during the negative phase, meaning the descent. Go down until you feel a stretch in your chest and triceps, but don't let your shoulders go too far back, as this can cause joint discomfort. Then, push your body back up, fully extending your arms at the top of the movement. And what are the most common mistakes people make with this exercise? The first mistake is not going low enough. If you're only doing half the movement, you're not getting the full benefits of dips. The second mistake is letting your shoulders rise during the ascent, which can overload the traps and take the focus off your chest and triceps. The third mistake is not controlling the descent, allowing the body to drop too quickly. The negative phase of the exercise is where you stimulate the most muscle growth, so if you're just dropping, you're wasting a huge opportunity for gains. Now, why is this exercise so effective? Because it allows you to use your own body weight to create intense overload on the muscles without needing sophisticated equipment. Plus, if it gets too easy over time, you can add weight using a dip belt with plates, or by holding a dumbbell between your feet. If you're not incorporating dips into your workout yet, you should start right now. And if you're already doing them, try improving your execution with these tips. Now that we've covered one of the most powerful exercises for the chest and triceps, in the next chapter, we'll dive straight into the reverse fly, which is absolutely essential for strengthening the rear shoulders and improving your posture. If you think you only need to train the front of your body, you're making a big mistake, and I'll show you why. Number 3, reverse fly. If there's one exercise that many people overlook but can make a huge difference in your posture, strength, and muscle balance, it's the reverse fly. Unlike movements like the bench press and bicep curls, which are often gym favorites, the reverse fly focuses on the posterior shoulders and upper back. The problem is that most people spend the majority of their time training only the front muscles of the body, such as the chest, biceps, and anterior deltoids. This can lead to a major muscle imbalance, where the shoulders become rounded forward, posture starts to worsen, and over time, back and neck pain begin to appear. The reverse fly solves this problem because it strengthens the rear delts, rhomboids, and trapezius, helping to balance the musculature and naturally improving your posture. Additionally, well-developed shoulders create that broad and dense muscular look that makes all the difference in your physique. So if you're not including this exercise in your workout yet, it's time to change that. Now, how do you perform the reverse fly correctly? First, grab a pair of dumbbells and lean your torso forward. Your knees should be slightly bent and your back should always remain straight. A major mistake I see many people make is rounding their spine during the movement, which can put unnecessary strain on the lower back and take the focus away from the shoulders. From this position, hold the dumbbells with your palms facing each other and lift your arms to the sides as if you were spreading your wings. The key to performing this exercise effectively is to avoid using momentum and to keep your elbows slightly bent. At the top of the movement, hold for a second and really feel the muscles contracting before lowering the dumbbells slowly. Now, let's talk about the most common mistakes. The first mistake is using weights that are too heavy, turning the movement into uncontrolled swinging. This is not an exercise where you need to lift heavy weights. The focus should be on perfect technique. The second mistake is not controlling the descent. Many people lift the dumbbells and then simply let the weight drop. This drastically reduces the effectiveness of the exercise and can even lead to injuries. The third mistake is not keeping the torso inclined throughout the movement. If you start lean forward and gradually lift your torso as you fatigue, you're losing a significant portion of the muscle stimulus. And why is this exercise so effective? Because it not only improves your posture, but also strengthens muscles that enhance performance in other movements, such as the military press, rows, and even the bench press. If you want a strong and balanced body, you can't leave the reverse fly out of your routine. Now that we've talked about the best exercise for strengthening your shoulders and correcting your posture, in the next chapter, we'll go straight to the single arm dumbbell row, which is simply the secret to building wide and dense back muscles. If you think just doing pull-ups and lat pull-downs is enough, you need to discover the incredible benefits of this movement. Number 2, one-arm dumbbell row. If you want a strong, wide back with that dense, muscular look, then you need to include the one-arm dumbbell row in your workout. This exercise is simply one of the most effective for developing your back muscles, and it has a huge advantage over other movements. It allows you to work each side of your body independently, correcting muscle imbalances and ensuring symmetrical development. A lot of people think that building a big back is just about doing machine pull-downs or a few sets of pull-ups. While those exercises are great, they don't replace the benefits of a good one-arm row. This movement targets key muscles like the latissimus dorsi, the famous wings, rhomboids, trapezius, and even the biceps. Plus, since the dumbbell moves freely, the exercise allows for a greater range of motion, which leads to better muscle recruitment and more effective growth stimulation. Now, how do you perform this exercise correctly? First, grab a dumbbell and place one hand and one knee on a bench. This will give you more stability and allow you to focus 100% on execution. Keep your spine straight and your core engaged. Your grip on the dumbbell should be firm but not overly tense in your forearm so that the focus remains on your back. From this position, pull the dumbbell toward the lower part of your ribs, keeping your elbow close to your body. A common mistake people make is pulling the weight too high or too far to the side, which turns the movement into a biceps exercise instead of a back exercise. The key is to imagine that you're trying to put your elbow in your pocket while squeezing your back muscles at the top of the movement. Now, one of the most important parts of the exercise is the lowering phase. If you just let the dumbbell drop, you're wasting a big part of the muscle stimulus. The negative phase of the movement, meaning the downward motion, should be controlled and slow, ensuring that your muscles remain engaged even during this phase of the exercise. Let's talk about the most common mistakes I see people making. The first mistake is using too much weight and compensating with the body, turning the exercise into an uncontrolled swinging motion. If you have to swing your torso or jerk the weight up, you're doing it wrong. The second mistake is not keeping your back straight. If your spine is rounded during execution, you're putting unnecessary strain on your lower back and increasing the risk of injury. The third mistake is not using the full range of motion, doing short reps where the dumbbell barely moves up or down. If you're not really feeling your back working, something is off in your execution. Why is this exercise so effective? First, because it allows you to correct muscle imbalances since each side of the body works independently. Second, because it engages multiple muscles at once, making it an essential movement for anyone who wants a stronger, wider back. And third, because it improves your grip strength and muscular endurance, which benefits other exercises like deadlifts and pull-ups. If you're not doing the one-arm dumbbell row yet, you should start right now. If you already do it, try improving your execution by applying these tips and you'll feel the difference. Now that we've covered the best back exercise, in the next chapter, we'll dive into the leg extension machine, one of the best movements for isolating the quadriceps and improving leg definition. Many people think this exercise is secondary, but in reality, it can make a huge difference in your training. Number 1, leg extension machine. If you want well-developed, strong, and defined legs, you need to include the leg extension machine in your workout. Many people underestimate this exercise because they think squats alone are enough to develop the quadriceps. But the truth is that the leg extension machine plays a fundamental role, as it allows you to isolate the muscle in a controlled way, ensuring an intense and precise workout. If you've ever done this exercise correctly, you know how it burns the quadriceps like few other movements do. While exercises like squats and the leg press recruit multiple muscles at the same time, the leg extension machine focuses solely on the quadriceps, eliminating any assistance from the glutes or hamstrings. This makes it the perfect complement to a well-balanced leg workout. Now, how do you perform the leg extension machine correctly? The first step is to adjust the machine's seat properly. The padded cushion should be positioned just above your ankles, and your knees should be aligned with the machine's axis. This is crucial to avoid excessive joint strain and ensure that the movement targets only the quadriceps. Once the machine is adjusted, firmly grip the side handles and start lifting the weight by fully extending your legs. The key here is not just to lift the weight any way you can, but to control both the ascent and descent. extent. At the top of the movement, hold for a second and feel your quadriceps fully contract. This detail makes all the difference in muscle development. On the way down, lower the weight slowly and in a controlled manner without letting the weight slam into the support. This keeps the muscle under tension for longer and maximizes the stimulus for growth. Now, let's talk about the most common mistakes I see people making. The first mistake is using too much weight and performing the movement in an uncontrolled manner. This exercise is not meant for lifting tons of weight, but for isolating the muscle and training with quality. If you're swinging your body or throwing the weight up, you're doing it wrong. The second mistake is not fully extending the legs. Many people stop the movement halfway, reducing muscle activation and decreasing the exercise's efficiency. If you want results, you need to complete the full range of motion. The third mistake is lowering the weight too quickly. As I mentioned before, the negative phase, the lowering part of the movement, is where a significant portion of the muscle stimulation occurs. If you just drop the weight, you're missing out on an opportunity for muscle growth. Now, why is this exercise so effective? First, because it allows for isolated work on the quadriceps, ensuring the muscle is intensely stimulated. Second, because it helps strengthen the knees, which is crucial for preventing injuries and improving performance in other leg exercises. And third, because it can be strategically used to increase muscle fatigue at the end of a workout, maximizing muscle growth. If you're not yet including the leg extension machine in your workout, you should start right away. If you already do, try improving your execution by applying these tips, and you'll see the difference in your quadriceps,